he essentially played point center. You saw in some of those highlights, he looked kind of like Draymond Green, getting the ball at the center of the court and distributing it. And look, he can do a lot of different things, but create with the ball far from the hoop is something that is on the list.
Victor Wembanyama was already terrifying. Now he's been to the Shaolin Temple, trained with Hakeem, and he has a point guard who might be the smartest rookie since Chris Paul.
Rebound quickly up to Harper. The Spurs look to push. Alley-oop to Victor! Number 2 to number 1.
That's an and one.
The NBA has a problem. Preseason doesn't usually mean much, unless what you're seeing feels like a preview of what's to come. The Spurs might be cooking up the most dangerous young duo we've seen in years. The future in San Antonio somehow looks even brighter heading into the 25-26 season. The Spurs already have the last 2 rookies of the year, Victor Wembanyama and Stephon Castle, with Wemby now flirting with both Defensive Player of the Year and MVP conversations. And now, they've added another promising young piece to the mix. With Wemby already looking like a generational superstar, the Spurs' timeline has officially accelerated. They don't have time to wait around for development projects. They need players who can contribute right now. While the basketball world has spent months hyping up Cooper Flagg in Dallas, San Antonio's been quietly celebrating their own lottery luck. Because while the Mavs may have found their next franchise player in Flagg, the Spurs believe they landed one of their own in Dylan Harper. Harper, the 19-year-old former Rutgers standout, has backed that belief up with a strong preseason. He dropped 9 points in 18 minutes against Utah, then followed that with 11 points and 8 assists in just 22 minutes versus Indiana. He's a big-bodied, lefty combo guard with basketball royalty bloodlines, the son of Ron Harper, who was a 25-5 guy before winning 5 championships with the Bulls and Lakers as a defensive specialist, and Phil Jackson's trusted role player. And like his father, Dylan brings skill, poise, and the kind of game control that makes everything move at his pace. He's already playing with the confidence of a seasoned vet. Some scouts have even compared his driving style to James Harden, not just because he's a lefty, but because of the way he strings together dribble moves, keeps his handle low through traffic, and uses his strength to shield off defenders at the rim. Prime Harden might have been the better vertical athlete, but Harper still finished 67.6% of his shots at the rim last year, showing off a deep bag of pivots, floaters, and off-the-hand finishes that make him a nightmare around the basket, whether he's scoring or drawing contact. But what really separates him from most rookie guards is how calm he looks doing it. Harper plays entirely at his own tempo, using change of speed, balance, and feel, not just raw bursts to get to his spots. It's the same poise that make him look advanced beyond his years in pick and rolls, and it's why his decision-making and passing fit perfectly next to a lob and kick-out threat like Wemby. And that's the key. With Wembanyama commanding so much defensive attention, San Antonio needs smart secondary playmakers who can create on the fly. The backcourt's already stacked. De'Aaron Fox just signed a massive 4-year extension, and Stephon Castle is coming off his Rookie of the Year campaign.
Castle by one defender by 2. Oh! Castle!
Both will shoulder heavy workloads this season, but Harper looks ready to take some of that weight off them and maybe add something new to the mix. From the Spurs' perspective, the pick was a no-brainer. You take the best player available, always, and Dylan Harper was clearly the second best player in this draft. Teams that draft for positional need often end up making the kind of mistakes that haunt them for decades. You know the lines, "We don't need Luka Doncic, we have Fox," or "We don't need Michael Jordan, we have Clyde Drexler"? The Spurs weren't about to make that mistake. They took the best player on the board and will figure out the fit later. And if there's one thing San Antonio is known for, it's patience. Harper is a combo guard in the same mold as Stephon Castle, but plenty of scouts actually think Harper might end up even better in that role. He can play both on and off the ball, he's a high-level ball handler and passer, and his skill set allows the Spurs to pair him with either De'Aaron Fox or Castle to create open looks for Victor Wembanyama. Dylan is not a traditional explosive athlete, but his ability to tack the rim, finish through contact, and find open teammates should mesh beautifully with Wemby. And with wings like Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Harrison Barnes spacing the floor. If Harper and Wemby keep building the kind of chemistry we've already seen flashes of in the preseason, And given that they're both of the same age timeline, the rest of the league could be in trouble a lot sooner than expected. Now, there is one area to watch closely: shooting. None of Harper, Fox, or Castle are elite from deep just yet. Whichever one develops into a consistent catch-and-shoot threat will have a massive edge when it comes to minutes, both this season and beyond. Even though Harper is the least experienced of the three, he might already be showing something in that department. In college, he hit 36.8% of each catch-and-shoot threes. While he wasn't as effective shooting off the dribble, he proved to be a reliable off-ball scorer who can relocate to the corner or wing and knock them down. Early preseason numbers back that up too. 40% from deep through 2 games. Small sample size, sure, but definitely a welcome sign for the rookie. Now, let's talk about how Harper actually looked in his preseason action. His debut against the Jazz didn't disappoint. The 19-year-old came off the bench for 18 minutes and dropped 9 points on 6 shots, with 3 assists in his first NBA appearance, wearing the silver and black. The box score tells part of the story, but the real takeaway was how composed he looked. For a rookie who's dealt with injuries since leaving college, Harper carried himself like a player who's been here before. His first bucket came on a smart back cut after he faked setting a corner screen. His second came on the ball, using a double screen from Luke Cornett and Victor Wembanyama to freeze the defense before exploding to the rim. Then he hit a tough baseline mid-range jumper and followed that up with a 3. But it wasn't just scoring. As a playmaker, Harper showed the exact qualities the Spurs drafted him for. Off a simple Cornett screen, he turned the corner and hit the big man, rolling for an easy finish. Moments later, he pushed the pace after a miss and found Wemby sprinting down the floor for a lob. His final assist came on a baseline drive. Instead of forcing the shot, he wrapped a pass across the court to Julian Champagnie for a wide-open corner 3. It was all there: poise, vision, tempo, and control. He orchestrated in the half court and created in transition like a vet guard, not a rookie in his first NBA game.
Interesting lineup here. Coach Mitch has put out. Harper drives and uses the speed.
Now, one preseason game doesn't mean everything. He'll have tougher nights, especially once he faces real NBA defenses. But seeing Harper immediately showcase the same tools that made him such a coveted prospect, coming off an injury, is a massive positive. There's been plenty of talk about his fit in San Antonio's crowded backcourt, and you'd expect a 19-year-old to play tight under that kind of spotlight. Instead, Harper looked calm, confident, and certain of who he is. His maturity and self-assurance were as impressive as his box score line. Head coach Mitch Johnson summed it up perfectly when asked what impressed him most about Harper so far. He's not trying to score every time or make a bunch of moves, he's just trying to be part of the team and fit in. And that, for a rookie this young, might be the most Spurs-like trait of all. And in his second preseason game, Dylan Harper built on everything he showed in his debut. This time, it came on the road against the Indiana Pacers, and the rookie looked even more comfortable. Harper finished with 11 points, 8 assists, and 2 steals in just 22 minutes off the bench, shooting 4 of 8 from the field and posting a plus 11 in a 124-108 Spurs win that kept San Antonio unbeaten through the first 4 preseason games. But just like in his first outing, it wasn't the box score that stood out, it was how he did it. He attacked the rim with a mix of speed, control, and power. He showed off his handle and court awareness, slicing through Indy's defense for smooth finishes. He let it fly confidently from the corner without hesitation. And when the Pacers overcommitted, Harper punished them with perfectly timed passes to open shooters. At just 19, Harper has looked composed and poised. With almost no signs of rookie rust through 2 impressive preseason performances, his addition instantly gives San Antonio more flexibility and depth in the backcourt alongside De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and Devin Vassell. On the defensive end, Harper's impact has been just as eye-catching. With springy legs, length, and a relentless motor, he's been a full-court pest, constantly pressuring the ball and disrupting passing lanes. Exactly the kind of defense-first energy the Spurs want to build around. San Antonio made it clear from day one that their identity this season would be rooted in defense. And that's easy to commit to when you have someone like Victor Wembanyama, a potential perennial Defensive Player of the Year, anchoring everything.
Advantage. Smith. Oh my! Blocked by Wemby. Blocked again by Wemby. Get it out of here!
Wemby's growth, both literal and figurative, gives Harper the freedom to play more aggressively, but not just on defense, offense too. He doesn't have to worry about setting everyone else up all the time because he's sharing the floor with one of the most unique players the game has ever seen. As Harper himself put it, Victor looks like a point guard half the time. This preseason, it didn't take long for Victor Wembanyama to find his offensive rhythm. After scoring 19 points combined in his first 2 games, he topped that mark in each of the next 2, highlighted by a 27-point double-double in a 16-point win over the Pacers. Wembanyama knows exactly what kind of burden he carries. Standing 7'5" with the mobility of a guard is something the league has barely seen. And truthfully, it even took the Spurs some time to figure out how to fully utilize that. As a rookie, Wemby played with pure instinct, flashes of brilliance mixed with the growing pains of a young team that, despite packing arenas everywhere they went, managed just 22 wins. Then, just as things started to click in year 2, a bout of deep vein thrombosis abruptly ended his season in February. But heading into year 3, everything feels different. A summer focused on growth, both personal and organisational, combined with key roster additions that has the Spurs looking more complete than any point since drafting him in 2023. And now, it's on Wemby to truly claim that next level role. Defensively, there's no confusion. His presence alone changes everything. He can recover from almost anywhere within 10 feet of the rim, turn mistakes into blocks, and force opponents to alter shots just by existing. Offensively though, the evolution has been fascinating. Wemby has always shown a willingness to shoot and an almost stubborn refusal to stop shooting when things weren't falling. But this preseason, something clicked. In his first game back on the floor since January 31, he didn't just look confident, he looked in control. He's developed a real feel for passing, whether it was running a pick and roll with Luke Cornett, kicking out to Julian Champagny, or turning a block off the glass into a fast break assist for Keldon Johnson. Wemby looked like a player completely in tune with his teammates. Several times, he even passed up open looks from deep, finishing a perfect, yet modest, 3 for 3 from the field, but just 3 assists shy of a triple-double. Afterward, he explained it perfectly. "I've turned down shots I can make with my eyes closed, but that was to get one of my teammates a shot he can make in his sleep. We have to find the best option. This is what great teams do." That's the kind of good to great basketball purists live for. The unselfish playmaking that separates just talent from true leadership.
You know you can shoot the 3-ball, nice little ball fake. Penetration sucks in the defense. There's Julian again, all by his lungs.
Wembanyama's always had the tools. The flashes of dominance have been there since day one. But what's standing out now is how effortless it all looks. For the first time, his mind and body seem perfectly in sync. Every move feels deliberate yet natural. Every decision instant but never rushed. It's reminiscent of Nikola Jokic's 4th season. The moment he started toying with defenses, like he was playing chess, while everyone else was stuck on checkers. Back then, the question was simple. If Jokic ever became a consistent scorer, would anyone be able to stop him? The difference is, Wembanyama already is that kind of scorer. And if he keeps learning to control games the way Jokic eventually did, the ceiling on what he can become might not even exist. Together, Wembanyama and Dylan Harper could become one of those duos that just clicks. Not because they're alike, but because they complement each other perfectly. Wemby's length, timing, and shot creation make him the most unguardable player on the floor, while Harper's pace and downhill aggression give the Spurs exactly what they've been missing. A guard who bends defenses and forces rotations. Together, they create constant pressure. Wall of Harper's drives, and Wemby's waiting for the lob or the corner 3. Collapse on Wemby, and Harper is already bursting through the lane before the defense can reset. And the scariest part? They're both still learning. Wemby's figuring out when to impose himself as a creator, and Harper's just adjusting to NBA spacing and defensive length. But once they start truly reading each other, once Harper instinctively knows when Wemby's slipping a screen or floating to the dunker's spot, San Antonio's pick and roll game might become unguardable. At that point, it's not about potential anymore, it's about inevitability. The Spurs don't just have 2 rising stars, they have a problem for the NBA, a nightmare in development. And if preseason is any indication, the rest of the league better start figuring out some answers fast. So do you think Wembanyama and Harper will become the NBA's next dynasty duo? Drop your prediction in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, check out one of these ones on your screen now.